This sums up. This sums up a horrible goddamn weekend for Philadelphia, man. First loss of the season. You're up 17-3 in the fourth quarter. You blow that lead. Denver takes the lead 18-17 off of a 2-point conversion. Your defense looked obviously gassed because the offense once again just couldn't find a way to close the game out or just add on to your score. Were there nice moments from the offense at some points in this game? Yeah, there were some nice passes between Jalen, Devontae and all that stuff. They had some nice passes at some points of the game. But still, it's not acceptable with the way this passing game is, and the run game is now completely just non-existent. Saquon Barkley had 6 carries tonight. 6 carries. He had 6 carries for, I believe, 30-plus yards. 6 carries in totality. 6 carries. Your run offense has been non-existent the entire year. And where does that go to attribute? Is that just because of how bad your offensive line is? Is it simply the play calling, or is the defense reading into things that's just easily flushing out the run game? I don't have the answers for that. And clearly, they don't have the answers for it because they they can't figure it out. Seriously, 6 runs for 30 exact yards for Saquon Barkley. His longest was 17. I don't even think he had a run in the fourth quarter, from what I remember. I don't think he did. Saquon had more receiving yards than he did rushing yards in today's game. He had 3 receptions for 58 yards. The run game is just not good. Am I putting blame on Jalen Hurts? There were definitely some overthrows in this game, 100%. Now, do I blame the deep ball that he missed A.J. Brown on? Do I blame that on Jalen overthrowing the ball? Or do I blame that on A.J. Brown slowing down? I think there's a little bit of both. A.J. Brown constantly complaining about his use in the offense, which he does have a right to. I'm not saying he doesn't have a right to not complain about his use of the offense. But you can't go complaining and then slowing down on a play where you're completely wide open. But then also Jalen had some overthrows in this game, 100%. He's been having a couple of overthrows the past few weeks. So, and granted, he's not going to be perfect in the passing game. Jalen is perfect throwing the ball and all that stuff. Jalen, he finished 28 of 38 attempts, or 23 of 38 attempts, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns. He got sacked 6 times in this game. He got sacked 6 times. The offensive line is 100% garbage. Landon Dickerson went down with another injury. Did not return to the game. I believe it was an ankle injury, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, when your offense can't stay on the field at all in that fourth quarter, and your defense has to keep going back on and on and on and on and on, they're going to get gassed. They're going to get gassed. They're going to give up plays. They're going to give up long drives. They're going to give up scores. And that's exactly what happened. Now, was the ref ball involved in today's game? 100%. Should there have been a pass interference on Denver when the Eagles were going back downfield at the end of the game to try to win? Should there have been a pass interference there that would have put the Eagles around the 5-yard line? Yes, 100%. Now, why are the refs picking up, intentional grounding calls without even announcing it? I have no idea. People were complaining about the Zach Bond, it's the Zach Bond, the Zach Bond penalty. People were complaining about that. It's ticky-tack, but you hit a guy when he was on the ground. I understand the guy was trying to use his leverage to try to get some more yardage when I forget who was bringing him down, but unnecessary roughness. And then I believe there was supposed to, I think it was an interception. No, it was the fumble on Denver that Cooper DeJean forced, and then that got overturned into, it was an incomplete pass because you saw a little bit of, just about, Bo Nix was just about to get into the throwing motion. You saw a little bit of the arm move forward with the ball, and that's what forced it to be overturned. That's definitely going to be controversial as the week goes along. And granted, this is a short week too. You play on Thursday night in MetLife Stadium against the Giants, who also have a really good defense. Granted, the Giants are still not a good team. Denver has a really good defense. Your offense is not good. Giants have a really good defensive front. Denver has a really good defensive front. They caused issues for the offensive line today. I 100% guarantee that the offensive line is going to have issues against the Giants' defensive front, because the offensive line has been bad the entire year. I don't know if that's just simply these guys are too banged up after, long seasons and playing deep into the playoffs. You're just experiencing the wear and tear on people's bodies, with guys like Landon Dickerson, who constantly has to come off the field, with guys like Lane Johnson, when you don't have really much reliable backups at this point anymore. It's not helping. They just don't look right. And the defense today, the defense overall, the defense I think is the least thing that you should be worrying about with this team. The main thing that you should be worrying about actually with the defense is the undisciplinedness. They're so much undisciplined. You got pass interference penalties, you got holding penalties, you got false starts. It's everything under the sun when it comes to just being stupid penalties. And yes, were some of those penalties ticky-tack, but literally, was there a stretch where it just felt like every penalty was going on the Eagles? Every penalty was going on the Eagles. Yes. Yes. You deserve to lose this game. You completely deserved to lose this game, in my personal opinion, ref ball aside, because this offense is not good enough. It just isn't. Whether it's Kevin Patullo, whether it's the game calling, I don't think it's Jalen. I don't think it's Jalen whatsoever. The only thing I have with Jalen is sometimes he is overthrowing guys at this point. The sacks more are a cause of the offensive line, in my personal opinion. I think that's the case. And maybe it could also be attributed to the play calling for guys not getting open. Maybe that could also be a thing. So I think right now Jalen is probably the least of the concerns with this offense, because he's doing everything he can every single week. So and granted, I'm not trying to take all the blame away from Jalen Hurts, because like I said, some overthrows. Was that play between him and A.J. Brown, was that more on Jalen, or was that more on A.J. slowing down the route? Probably a mix of both. I would probably lean more towards A.J. slowing down, but you can also throw in the argument that maybe Jalen just overthrew the ball. Maybe that was the case. God damn, when I get into a sneezing fit, like I am right now, I just can't stop. But it's to the fact that they've been playing with fire basically every single week. Enormously playing with fire. And this time they finally got burned. Throughout all just being undisciplined, through the offense just going quiet for long periods of time where they just can't score whatsoever. You have a 17-3 lead. You can't rely entirely on your defense just to close the game out, because when your offense is constantly going 3 and out, or maybe just 4, 5, 6 plays, it's a very quick drive. Your defense keep going out there, they're going to get gassed. And they were getting gassed last week against Tampa Bay. You just managed to break through and force some turnovers. This week you weren't able to force those turnovers. You weren't getting lucky on that. You weren't getting breaks on that aspect. And like I said, this is something that you probably deserve to lose. 100%, in my opinion, deserve to lose. And I think that's the case. They deserve to lose this game. Now, maybe that whips them into shape, and maybe this is something they needed to right the wrongs and maybe try to figure all this shit out that's going wrong with them. Maybe it is also the benefit of having a short week to where you can quickly wipe this away and throw it in the trash, or maybe find a way to quickly learn from it. Or maybe it is the benefit that you're going into a week against a division rival in their stadium in MetLife, and maybe that can spark you or something like that. Maybe there's a benefit to that. I can't say that there is right now, because this team has looked very bad for 4 weeks offensively. It's not good. Kevin Patullo is not a good play caller. And I don't know, like I said, there were some nice things in this game. But it's just the fact that mixed in with those nice things, it's just long stretches of ineptitude. That they can't do anything whatsoever. And that is the biggest issue with this offense. They go too quiet for too long. Literally, it's It's a carbon copy of the Phillies offense. They go too quiet for too long. It's a horrible weekend, realistically. It just is. From getting gut punched by the Phillies last night to this. Just like, oh, Birds, they'll solve everything. Jalen, they'll solve everything. They'll make us feel better, and they'll rebound us from last night. Nope. Nope. Double gut punch. I don't know. Yesterday was a gut punch. Today was more of a fucking Jesus. Kicking the dick. Kicking the fucking balls from this game. It is ridiculous how 2 weeks in a row you collapse like that. And I'm not even blaming the defense whatsoever, because I firmly believe that the defense is gassed because how many times they got to come back onto the field. I will blame them on them being very undisciplined. That penalty by Zach Bond can't happen. Certain penalties by Quinyon Mitchell can't happen. Getting some false starts. I believe there were situations where Jalen Carter was false starting as well. Those can't happen either. But like I said constantly, and I'm going to keep reiterating it, when this defense has to go on the field so many times in a row because of your ineptitude offense, because they can't stay on the field, your defense is going to get gassed. And they were gassed in that fourth quarter. They were gassed last week against Tampa Bay, and that was even put on tenfold because of how hot it was in Tampa Bay. You weren't going to survive a collapse like that 2 weeks in a row. You just weren't. You just weren't. It's amazing. Just looking at some other things. Yeah, Devontae Smith had a good game. 8 receptions for 114 yards. A.J. Brown, he had 5 receptions, 8 targets, 43 yards there. Jahan Dotson had 1 catch in this game, which was a 24-yard pass. Dallas Goedert, he had 3 catches for 19 yards. He had a touchdown. Yes, realistically, there should have been a pass interference at the end of the game, which would have brought the Eagles to the 5-yard line, and probably they would have won the game at that point. Rushing game is still completely non-existent. Jalen Hurts only had 3 rushing yards today. Saquon Barkley, 30 rushing yards. A.J. Dillon, 12 rushing yards. Just not good. Just not good. And you had some sack. How many times did Bo Nix? You got sacked twice. Zach Bond had a sack, and then I believe it was Adarius Smith that had a sack as well. The defense provided. There were some good things from the defense today. Like I said, they got gassed and then just got very undisciplined. But the way people were making it sound like it was so in favor of the penalty calls, like there were so many penalty calls that were just going on the Eagles and Eagles. The Broncos had more penalties in this game. The Broncos had 12 for 121 yards. The Eagles only had 9 penalties for 55 yards lost. Maybe you can argue that it was the impact of those penalties that were more crucial, and especially they were at the end of the game on those final drives by Denver to, get those scores. Maybe that's where those complaints come from. And yes, it's the NFL. The refs are going to ref. I mean, you can't be shocked at that fact. Like, we get shocked every week with how bad these calls are by the referees. It's the NFL, man. They're going to suck. Ref ball is going to happen. Ref ball is inevitable. You're going to experience ref ball at least like maybe 2-3 times a year. Maybe even more than that. So, I can't fully go in here and just say, oh, yeah, it's on the refs. The refs are the reason why the Eagles lost this game. No. I ain't going to do that. You deserve to lose the game with your just inability to score points. Denver had 18 points total in the fourth quarter. You can't allow that. And I know the defense allowed those 18 points. The defense was gassed because of the offense. Because your offense can't stay on the field. They can't sustain drives late in the game. They can't score. Not even getting a fucking field goal either. Not even getting even close to a field goal range. Just look at some of these drives that are in the later stages of the game. Let's look at the second half. So after the touchdown on the first play of the second half, 5 plays and a punt, which lasted 2 minutes. 3 plays and a punt, which lasted 1 minute and 5 seconds. 3 and out. 3 and out. And then your final drive of the game. Your defense is going to get gassed. Yeah, you forced a 3 and out on Denver. They got the touchdown in the first play. It's just, your defense got gassed. That's the bottom line. Your defense got gassed because your offense was that bad. Because your offense was that bad. It's just that. Your offense was that bad. I just saw a tweet. Let's see. Brandon Lee. This is from September 21st, actually. So this is a very long time. And this is probably still reiterated to this week. From Brandon Lee Goutman of Bleeding Green Nation. Nick Sirianni doesn't get enough blame for the offensive struggles, in my opinion. Kevin Patullo is his guy. Having the shuffle through OCs isn't ideal. Having a play-calling head coach is the strongest way to prevent OC turnover. Head coach needs to help provide answers. What is Nick Sirianni doing to help? Yeah, a lot of blame does go towards Nick Sirianni. It just does. You are a CEO, man. You got to figure out the problems. You got to help the problems. Last year, definitely, you had an experienced play caller in Kellen Moore. Now you bring in one of your guys that doesn't have any experience whatsoever with play calling in the National Football League. You bring him into a very important role as the offensive coordinator, and this guy looks completely overwhelmed in this position, and you're not doing anything to help right now. I'm sure he's doing something to help, but it's principle at this point. You're responsible for this OC, and then in turn by proxy, you're responsible for how pathetic the offense looks. I think that's reasonable. I think that's rational. I think that's where the blame can go on Nick Sirianni, because last year he had and still he is an experienced defensive coordinator, but you have two experienced coordinators last year with Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio. Now, maybe Nick Sirianni is giving more word on the offense than we would like to. Maybe that's the case. Maybe that's something to that. It was like that in 2023 with Brian Johnson. And now we're probably experiencing that again. Crazy. Devontae Smith on the passing game today. We made some improvements in certain areas. We could still be a lot better. Ultimately, we need to get on the same page. A.J. Brown says this loss sucks. Very blunt there. Is there anything from Nick Sirianni in today's game? I'm just not sure. I don't think I see anything as well. No, I don't see much from Nick Sirianni in terms of anything. Just this Eagles team, like I said, they have good moments during the game, and then they have moments when they go away. They don't play a full 60 minutes. They don't play. What do we say every time when hockey is there? You got to play a full 60 minutes. Sometimes hockey teams, they don't play a full 60 minutes. They don't play a full 3 periods. Same thing could be applied to football. Because your offense does not play a full 60 minutes, which then in turn makes the defense very gassed. Ugh, man. My God. But then I'll throw it to you then, Austin. If the Eagles got that pass interference call at the end of the game, then if they do score, they do get a touchdown, they do get a win, then we're sticking to the same goddamn bullshit excuse and the bullshit thing that, oh, this team just finds ways to win. Oh, this team knows how to win. And, they're clutch and all that stuff, blah, 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 blah. Or you could say they got lucky. They got very lucky because of a pass interference call that allowed them to go down to the 5-yard line and was basically a simple score from there. Like I said, I think this is a well-deserved. Like, you keep stabbing your own self in the foot with the penalties. Now, yes, like I said, there's certain situations I don't understand why the second intentional grounding was picked up and not called, because it was clearly intentional grounding on Bo Nix. Yes, the fumble that Cooper DeJean forced, it was overturned and all that stuff. That was also very, 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 very close. But I just knew, like, once the replay booth was going to saw that Bo had slightly moved his arm forward, that arm forward into a passing direction, they were going to overturn it. I just knew that was going to be the case, because that's the NFL. That's the NFL. Any little ticky-tack thing, they're going to overturn the call. That's just how it works. And were some of the calls on the Eagles late ticky-tack? Now, people say that the Zach Bond unnecessary roughness was ticky-tacky. Guy was on the ground. Yes, he was trying to use his leverage to try to gain some more yardage. You still can't hit a guy on the ground. And granted, you can also use the excuse, what was Zach Bond supposed to do, because he was bringing his whole momentum into the play. Yeah, I can understand that. But still, you got to find a way to get yourself out of that scenario. You just do. You just do. What a horrible fucking weekend. What a horrible fucking weekend. Horrible. 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 Horrible, 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 horrible. And maybe this is a loss that they do. Maybe they need a kick in the pants. Maybe they need a kick in the ass. They need to look in the mirror. Maybe they need something like that. Because they've been getting away with a lot for the first 4 weeks. Maybe this is the kick they need. Maybe, just maybe, just maybe. We got a couple of calls here on the Anytime Hotline. We might as well get to those. One from Tyler, one from Sean. And we'll get to some of you guys in the chat, then we'll wrap it up on that instance. So let's get to it.
Hopefully this loss will be a lesson for Jalen to start calling more of the plays as opposed to Kevin Patullo, because I don't know what the fuck is going on, but this dumb, dull offense, conservative offense is just not doing it for us. I've given them, I said I'd give them until week 3 before I hit the panic button. It's not even about panic. It's about anger and impatience between the Phillies' limp dick offense and this conservative, scared bullshit. And I know we passed the ball many times today, but it seems like the offense just can't produce. I don't care if you're passing too much or not running, or running too much and not passing. It seems like the Eagles' offense seems to fail us big time. We got 4 wins. We lose today to a stank-ass Broncos team. Their defense is great, but you can't let them come down the way they scored today. I can't even talk. I'm so pissed off right now. I need a break from dog shit teams, man. I really do. And the Eagles aren't dog shit, but they played like it today. I don't give a shit about how many bad calls you got from the refs. When you play scared ass football and you get close to that and you let the game get close to you, the refs are going to come at you because the whole league is against you, and you know that. You are the chip on everyone's shoulder. So get it the fuck together, man. I am so done. Start learning how to play real football. Stop playing scared. Talk to you next time. Go Birds.
I think that's well said. I think this is definitely a game to get a lot of anger out, because I think there's a lot of built-up frustration with the Eagles fans with how they've looked, and something just feels really off with this team. So maybe this is a week to get all the anger out. I think it's all rational in my personal opinion. Let's get to Sean's.
So I won't be too critical here. We knew that this was coming. A blind man could see this coming a mile away. You leave your defense on the field for an entire half, they're going to get gassed. And I've been watching the Eagles post-game on, Philly Sports, and Jason Avant made a good point. Maybe the fans are to blame. We've been calling for A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith to get the ball. Well, they got it today, but you totally forgot about your running game. 5 to 6 carries for Saquon Barkley is nothing short of criminal. But credit to Denver, they made the plays. I'm not going to harp on the officiating, but it was god-awful. Some of these calls, even going back to the first quarter, I still believe that was a forced fumble by Cooper DeJean. I don't know how you don't call it. The phantom grounding call where the flag gets mysteriously picked up, and then the interference call on Goddard that wasn't. But again, the only positives, it's an out-of-conference loss. It doesn't punish you as much at the end of the year, and you have a short week. You have to find a way to beat a scrub Giants team and get off that field of hell healthy, because most likely that somebody's going to blow an ACL. But it's just the continuation of a shitty Philadelphia sports weekend.
Yep, just a continuation of that. I wouldn't go to the fact. I think if you're blaming the fans, and I'm not saying that you do or not, but if that's what they're bringing up on Eagles Postgame Live on NBC Sports Philadelphia, can't really be blaming the fans. It's not that the fact that the fans want A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, they just want them involved more. That doesn't mean completely just make that your entire game plan is just using those 2 guys. We want them to be involved in the offense when you're utilizing the run game, when Saquon's running, when Jalen's using his legs, when sometimes you target Dallas Goedert. We want those guys to be involved as well. It's just they went too far into that game plan. They went too far to where they, and that's not on the fans, that's on Kevin Petullo and Nick Sirianni for going too hell-bent on trying to force-feed them the ball. I think that's more of what they did. I can't be blaming, fucking Eagles post-game live can't be blaming the fans. The fans, what? No. I don't know. The fans are not to blame. Fans are not to blame. Can't be blaming the fans, because that's just an excuse then. That's just, I'm not saying that that's what the Eagles are doing. That's what they're bringing up on post-game live, even though I barely watch post-game live and all that crap, because I don't know. Not the biggest fan of the post-game lives on Philadelphia sports networks, personally. I'd rather just watch people react on YouTube. Man. Oh, man. Let's see, what else is there? I don't even know who this person is. Someone who writes for Philadelphia Sports Network, Liam, I don't know. Zagarian? Eagles' biggest glaring weakness isn't cornerback 2 or the passing game. It's Saquon posting pedestrian stats week in and week out, and it's not just his fault, obviously. I think that goes more on the offensive line. Why Saquon can't do anything. Personally, I think that's the case. I think that really is the case. I think the offensive line, what they're doing this year, I really think is what's preventing the pass, because the offensive line was so dynamic last year, which also helped Saquon, with the blocks, pushing up field to where he has all this open space. We're just not getting that this year. And we've been so used to, Philadelphia fans, that is, to having basically elite offensive lines every single season. Like, this is probably the first year in a while that you're really questioning the offensive line play. It's weird. It's weird. So, but this weekend has definitely been a kick in the ass, and tomorrow could possibly be another kick in the ass. Man, it's crazy. It is crazy. Yeah, I think that's basically it. I'll get to you guys in the comments section, then we'll wrap it up. Can't do another 2023. Petullo is trash. Run game is trash. That no call was atrocious. I don't want to hear about we lost anyway. That was still our game to win until the refs screwed us over. 5 straight possessions netted a grand total of 3 yards of total offense. Yep, that is bad. That is bad. And Petullo will be laughing like nothing is wrong. This is worse than the Brian Johnson at this point. At least he can move an offense. Time to start drawing up plays in the dirt. MetLife Stadium is the best prescription for an ailing football team. The Giants' defensive front is very good, and the Denver defensive front provided some problems for the Eagles' offensive line. So that is just something that I'm pointing out there. I'm still so defeated from last night, I couldn't even get ramped up for this game. Damn. This is the real test for this Eagles team. Either this is much-needed loss, or this is who they will be for the rest of the season. And we'll see. We'll see. The problem with Nick Sirianni is he's not that creative an offensive. Oh, yeah, he's definitely not creative. That's why they've been getting guys to take play calling away from him. And now, both of the guys that they've had to promote, where he probably has more say in the offense, you're seeing problems with the offense. It's a pattern. The problem with our play for the first 59 minutes are real, but that must be separated from the ref's light in the last 60 seconds. Oh, I mean, yeah. Either Kevin Petullo has to get his head out of his ass, or he's incompetent. No in between. The second last play was the biggest defensive PI on Dallas. Ball should have been on the 4-yard line with 9. It's like, oh yeah, it definitely should have been. This loss will only strengthen everyone moving forward. I hope it does. I do bring up the fact maybe this is something they need. Maybe it is something they need. Something to kick him in the face, slap him in the dick. Slap him in the dick. What? Did I just say? I said slap him in the dick. Okay. Punch him in the dick. Kick him in the dick. I think that's a no one slaps. No one slaps him in the dick. Oh, I'm all over the place. I am all over the place. I blame the Phillies. I blame last night. I blame last night. I really just said slap him in the dick. Can't make it up. Can't make it up. But yeah. We'll see how they rebound. It's gonna be an interesting week. It really is because obviously it's a short week for the Eagles. They play on Thursday in MetLife against the Giants. And then Phillies obviously this week with tomorrow. Depending on how that goes. If they lose tomorrow, they're down 2-0 going to LA with a chance of getting swept. I'm not bringing it into existence. I'm not bringing it into existence. No. The Phillies will win tomorrow as I cope with that. So if it's Phillies tomorrow and Phillies Wednesday, and then a possible chance of Phillies, Eagles, and Flyers all on the same night. Because remember, the Flyers also open up on Thursday in Florida. Flyer season starts too. So, getting closer to that. Hey, Danny Briere also made a trade during this game, trading away the Ryan Ellis contract. Good on Danny. Good on Danny freeing up that cap space. But yeah, gonna be an interesting week. We'll see how everything plays out. So, appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. Don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Always a great deal of service. And use the code TTPSPORTS, $20 off your first purchase. That's SeatGeek. It's a great deal. Don't pass it up. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow. Not sure if I'm going to do a live stream during the game again. Or I didn't do one yesterday for the Phillies. Might not do it again. I don't know. I thought changing it up might help them. I don't know. We'll play it by ear. So, appreciate y'all.